Well, today's episode is going to be a very, very interesting one for all of you. Now, if you guys saw my last episode, I did take that this next episode, this one, will cover much of MARIGOLD in their current round robin tournament, the Dream Star Grand Prix. Now, as you know, we are reaching a much a higher thing, as you know. We're going to be covering day 3, day 4, 5, and 6. So basically, we're going to try to catch up to what's been happening. Now, of course, we're going to see who is in the lead in the tournament, some upsets, who is currently still not reaching score on the board, that sort of thing. We also will cover, of course, some of the non-tournament matches. That way, people can get excited to see. This is completely different from what I do when it comes to, of course, the like what we did with G1 and of course the N1. So and possibly the 5-star Grand Prix. No, I don't think so. But yeah, but nonetheless, we're gonna have a real fun time for this one. But we're going to cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also got the Unagi Sayaka watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. In the words of the song by, of course, Rascal Flat, it's time to Life is a Highway and start with our very first review. And this is, of course, the entirety of this episode is all about MARIGOLD. As you know, they are currently in the Dream Star Grand Prix tournament. So let's begin with day number 3. Okay, day 3 of MARIGOLD's 5-star, no, Dream Star Grand Prix. I'm trying not to compare with Stardom, but anyway, so basically they were in Shinkiba. So basically they did some shows there. Let's start with the non-tournament matches that they have. Our first match, we have a 3-way match. We have Mala Grace versus Yuki Minami versus Nao Ishikawa. Now, of course, you would think in some capacity how this was going to go out in a three-way. Well, you look at Myla Grace, she is one that people can get behind on. Yuki Minami, she has picked up a good win in her debut, but since then she hasn't picked up a good win after that. And now Ishikawa, well, she hasn't picked up a good win for herself either, but nonetheless, things have uh, gone south for her every single time, but she's trying to put effort. But in the end, it was, of course, Mala Grace with the, I'm not sure if it was a Falcon Arrow onto Yuki Minami to pick up the win, so she walked away with that. Now, our next match, we had a six-woman tag match. We have, of course, uh, Chikagoto, Natsumi, Shozuki, and Miku Anu. They team up to face against Mitsa Matsui, Mirai, and Utami Ayashida. Now, nothing too significant about this match in some capacity. Now, for those who do know, the following day, of course, Mirai, well, not the following day, well, in 2 days' time, the next day on day 4, Mirai and Utami Ashida will face off each other. So that is something that we will be talking about later. But however, this is where the moment where they have to work together. So you would think, how would this go about? Well, we do know that, of course, you got two of the opposing team. Natsumi Shozuki is the current Superfly champion, while Miku Anu is in fact the current United National Champion, the White Belt Champion. So that doesn't make any difference. But however, it was Utami Aishida that put Chikagoto in the German suplex, picking up the win. Now, I'm not sure what happened in the end, but it seems there was like a bit of a back and forth eye between Mirai and Utami Aishida. So basically, they are well prepared for their upcoming match. Now, let's begin with our very first match in the tournament. We start with the Star League. We have Chiaki versus Sari. Now, Chiaki, as you know, has no luck ever since winning. Now, Sari, on the other hand, just for put on the record, she did not participate in day 1, but day 2 she has. So basically, that's set up. But however, Chiaki being a dirty player, you know how she is. She attacks her opponents before the start of the bell, just to get a head start in order to pick up the win. But you know, Sari does not back down from people like Chiaki. But it was Sari with the double foot stomp that put her away, giving her next 2 points with a total of 4, while Chiaki stays in Seto. Now let's jump in with the next 2 matches with the Dream League. Our first match we have is Victoria Yuzuki taking on Kyoki Amori. So basically that sets it up right there as well. Of course, Kyoki Amori, very tall and very interesting wrestler coming on her own, has evolved ever since joining MARIGOLD. As for Victoria Yuzuki, we know she has the tools and capability, but unfortunately that did not do any well for her, because it was Kyoki Amori who picked up a good win when she applied a somewhat of a twisted frog splash or so, winning the match. Now, as we continue with part of the Dream League, we have Nori taking on Nagisa Nozaki. Now, of course, Nori is a very impressive wrestler. You know how she is, has a highly skillful. But when it comes to Nagisa Nozaki, well, she likes to cut corners, cheat her way through in some ways. But none of that did any favors for either of them, because, of course, this match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw, giving them each of them 1 point each. So Nori ends with, of course, the total of 6, while Nagisa Nozaki with a total of 3. So basically, that's how it ends. And I'm sure Nagisa was not too thrilled ending this whole thing just like that, but that's how it rolls. Now, our next 2 matches are, of course, the Star League. First things first, we have what's her name? Kizuna Tanaka versus Passion. That's right, Nanane Takahashi. So you would know, of course. Now, we know Kizuna Tanaka has the tools and capability. We know she's impressive. We've seen her in a tag team setting, but a single setting is a little different. But when it comes to Nanane Takahashi, you know she intends to bring out the passion in everyone, and that's exactly what she did. But unfortunately, it didn't do any well for, of course, with Kizuna, because she ended in somewhat of a brain buster, allowing for Nanane to pick up her next 2 points with a total of 4, while Kizuna ends up in the bottom with 0. Our main event, this one was a very interesting part of the Star League. We have Bozilla versus Mai Sakurai. Now, you ask yourselves, how in the hell Mai Sakurai is going to deal with a much bigger individual? You would say this is the female version of David versus Goliath. Now, I'm sure Mai Sakurai knows it's not going to be an easy task. No, I'm sure everything she learned from Julia, it's not going to work. So you would think, okay, Bozilla knows she's strong. She knows she's powerful. She knows that Mai Sakurai had her capabilities. She cannot put her down. But however, I have to say, Mai Sakurai, I give her credit for thinking outside the box. There is a way. We've seen it before. And of course, she does the most interesting thing in this match. While she actually put Bozilla in the Paradise Lock, but not in the ring. She did that outside the ring, while, of course, the referee was counted out. But luckily, when, of course, we reached a certain time, Mai Sakurai went back, and she won by countout, which is the surprise. No one expected it, but I have to say, Mai Sakurai actually pulled it off. And of course, Chiaki, who is a close ally of Bozilla, well, she let her go. So Bozilla went on a rampage and attacked Mai Sakurai, who, in fact, and now here's there also something else that you guys don't know. This is the first loss that Mai Sakurai, that Bozilla has to suffer. So Mai Sakurai is the first person to defeat her. So that's why she's pissed, but I have to say, Mai Sakurai pulled it off. Don't know what Mai Sakurai said, but I'm sure she wants to win the tournament to elevate, of course, MARIGOLD, and that's her goal. Now that Julia's gone, she felt she has to pick up the pieces. But we will see what happens throughout the tournament. But right now, let's move on as we continue on with the tournament with day 4. Okay, we are now in day 4 of the Dream Star Grand Prix by MARIGOLD. Now, they went back to Corkin Hall. Just for the record, if anybody hasn't seen this event, this one is one of their bigger events. And yes, they do have English commentary in case anybody asks. But it was good to watch. Now, they do have a pre-show in this match before it. The pre-show is a 6-woman, a 3-way match. We have Myla Grace versus Nao Ishikawa versus Kyuki Omori versus Yuki Minami. So basically, anything could happen in these type of matches. So you don't know how this was going to end. Now, the two stronger competitors, I would think, it would be none other than Myla or Kyoki. But it was Kyoki who picked up a good win when she applied like a bridge type of pin onto Minami, giving her the win that she needed. Even though it's not a non-tournament match, but it's the pre-show, she did pretty well. Now, let's begin with, of course, the actual tournament matches. The first one we have is part of the Star League. We have Chiaki and Misa Matsui. Now, those two are, in fact, in the bottom of the barrel with no points. It started out with 0 for them. But the question it does tell, who's going to walk out as getting the first 2 points out of these two? Well, you would think Misa Matsui will finally get it. But however, you got to remember, Chiaki is a dirty player. She uses dirty tactics in order to win. But however, this match was nearly won by Misa Matsui. She had her right when she wanted her, so she picked up a win when she countered the Frankensteiner in winning the match. And of course, she walked away with a happy smile. But Misa Matsui felt that she was cheated on, that she should have won this match. You know, I feel like saddened for her that she should have won this one, but I'm sure she somehow gets her first 2 points, because if she doesn't, I will really be disappointed for it. Now, our next match is part of the Dream League. We have Victoria Yuzuki versus Chika Goto. Now, before these two met, we know they had a run-in with each other. So I don't know exactly what type of thing was going on, but I'm sure it's like, I don't know if one of them is trying to say who's going to be the future ace of the promotion. Victoria Yuzuki has often said that herself, but it was a good match. However, it was, of course, Victoria Yuzuki with the rolling arrow that finished off Chika Goto and giving her a match. And then, of course, gloated at her, telling her what she needed to hear. So her total points right now is 3. So basically, Chika Goto is, much like Mitsuha Matsui, is also at the bottom of the barrel with 0 points. Now we jump back with the Star League. We have Kizuna Tanaka versus Mai Sakurai. So nothing too significant about it, but of course we know that Kizuna Tanaka is a strong wrestler. Don't forget, she is a second generation wrestler like her mom and her dad. But however, it was Mai Sakurai who picked up the good win when she applied the STF, giving her next 2 points with the total of 6, while Kizuna Tanaka is also at the bottom of the barrel with 0, just like Chika Goto and Mitsuha Matsui. Now we jump back with the Dream League. We have Nori versus Natsumi Shozuki. So of course, not as probably you would think, the possibilities if Nori defeats Natsumi Shozuki, does that mean she does get a shot of the Super Flyweight belt? Well, I would say if that's the case, but of course, her usual move, the spinning jumping roundhouse kick, did not do any favors for her because somehow Shizuki get out of it. But it was a very strong, hard enziguri that picked up the win for Nori and giving her the total of 8 points. So she walked away with that. So that's pretty much it, what really took place. So I would say if Nori does come back, I would say she would definitely challenge Shozuki for the Superfly Championship. Now our next 2 matches are part of the Star League. We have Bozilla versus Nane Takahashi. Now remember, in day 3, Bozilla had her first loss in the tournament. She was undefeated until Mai Sakurai is. Now, however, you would think that Bozilla learned her lesson not to lose to someone. Well, you would think so because that's exactly what was supposed to happen, but it did not. However, somehow, someway, Nana Takahashi picked up the win with the roll-up, and I'm sure Bozilla, not happy with the result of it. Well, that's how it goes. But both of them ended up having a total of 6 points each, so that's how it rolls. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting one. We have our 2 top champions in, of course, MARIGOLD. We have Miku Ano and Sari. So you would think in some capacity that this is going to change everything, but it did not. They were going back and forth on whoever's going to take a big lead on this one. However, this match ended with a 15-minute time limit draw, giving them a point each with a total of 5. So each of them has 5 points. However, Miku Ano said that, that the title doesn't mean nothing. But however, she's determined to win this tournament because she's looking at Sari. You're not part of MARIGOLD. You're an outsider. You're a disgrace wearing that belt. But Sari did make some comments. Why did Miku Ano didn't challenge for the red belt in the first place, or Utami Ishida? No one actually made a move for it. Sari did. So I'm sure Sari has questioned her about it, but Miku Ano was not satisfied how she did. She felt that she should have defeated her because she is a force to be reckoned. But Sari, she has been a long, better standing wrestler than her. But we will see what happens down the line. Now our main event, as I mentioned before, this was going to happen. Utami Ayashida versus Mirai. I think a lot of fans were anticipating how this was going to go. And I'm sure there were many who might have, I think maybe we have a split half and half or so, who was supporting, who's got Utami's side and Mirai. I have to say this was a good match, but however, this became a huge upset. Mirai was able to defeat Utami Ishida with the lariat. Now remember, those who remember, when Mirai first appeared in Stardom as part of the Stardom roster back in 2022, she made a daring decision to challenge for the red belt, and she did not. And however, last time she also did, she lost to it, but however, she lost to Utami Ishida, and this led also to that. But however, this time she got her win. But Mirai was questioning Utami. Where's the Utami Ishida from before? And it's right, she's not the same. And I think that's a problem. And I think Utami Ayashida has to realize you're not being the Utami Ayashida from Stardom. You're you're basically someone else. People had high hopes for her. Where is she? So now Mirai is bringing the high expectations. So in total of this, Mirai walks away with 5 points, while Utami Ishida with 4. But hopefully somehow Utami Ishida gets her head in the game and start being the Utami Ishida that people need to see. So we will see what happens from here on out. So right now we are done with day 4. Let's move on with day 5. Okay, day 5 in the Dream Star Grand Prix by MARIGOLD. So let's begin with the non-tournament matches. We have a very unique 2-on-3 match. Bozilla and Mala Grace versus Komomo Minami, Victoria Yuzuki, and Nao Ishikawa. Now I know what you're all thinking. Why did they put this match into 2-on-3 match? Simple. Bozilla is a strong individual. You know for a fact that she's the strongest person. She's even proven it at many times. I don't remember if there was that one match where she was in a 1-on-2. Yeah, there was that match. But however, it suits everybody well because, of course, um, the one thing that was the common thread is Bozilla. But however, Bozilla's wrath continues to plague. But now Ishikawa suffered in the hands of Bozilla with the pile driver giving her the win. So just like that, it was over. Now let's jump in with the tournament matches. We have the Dream League. We have Nagisa Nozaki versus Chika Goto. Now, of course, you all know how this will play out. Chika Goto is still at the bottom of the barrel with 0 points, but Nagisa, on the other hand, well, she has done pretty well for herself, but she's not at the top level at all with the point level. But it was, of course, a somewhat of a claymore move that allowed her to pick up her next 2 points with the total of 5. But once again, I did say Chika Goto is in the bottom with 0. Now on to the Star League. We have Kizuna Tanaka versus Miku Ano. Now, of course, Miku Ano, and she's a force to be reckoned with. We know Kizuna Tanaka is a very impressive wrestler, second generation wrestler in her life. But you would think that that's how it is. Now, Miku Ano has been one of those people that we can consider could win the tournament. She was able to pick up a win with the pinfall, giving her next 2 points with a total of 7. Then, of course, Kizuna is the bottom of the barrel with 0. Now we continue more with the Star League matches. We have Chiaki versus Nanane Takahashi. Now, of course, Chiaki, we all know, she's a dirty player. She likes to do dirty tactics with the chair, distract the referee, try to soften up the wrestlers outside the ring, whatever it takes. But, however, when it comes to Nanane Takahashi, that type of aggression with dirty players does not stop Nanane Takahashi's passion in order to pick up the win, and that's exactly what she did. She put her in a brain buster, giving her her next 2 points with the total of 8, while of course Chiaki remained at 2. And our last match in the Star League, we have Mitsa Matsui versus Suri. Now remember, Mitsa Matsui is also at the bottom of the barrel, such as Kizuna Tanaka and of course Chika Goto. But Suri, as you know, she is the current top champion. Now, of course, you could say that there could be an upset if Mitsumatsui, by some miracle, defeats Suri. But Suri is not an easy person to try to overrun. But Suri was able to defeat her when she applied a submission move, and just like that, it was over, gaining her next 2 points with the total of 7. Now, our next 2 matches, which are our finals, we have the Dream League. We have Natsumi Shozuki versus Utami Ayashida. Now, of course, we all know what happened the previous time. Utami Ayashida lost to Mirai, but you would say that would play out pretty well. However, of course, it was a German suplex by Utami Ayashida to defeat Mitsa Matsui, giving her the total of 6 points. While, of course, Natsumi Shozuki remains at 3. for our main event, we have Kyoki Omori versus Mirai. And this is a very interesting match in some capacity. Not because it's in a singles match. Kyoki Omori wants something that Mirai has. If you guys can guess, yes, don't forget, Mirai is one half of the Twin Star Tag Team Champions with Mai Sakurai. Kyoki Omori and Chiga Goto, better known as Twin Towers, were in fact the fan favorite to win the tag tournament, but lost. But this will be an opportunity. Now, some of you may think Mirai, who is the most strongest individual, will pick up the win. However, that did not do any well for her because it was, of course, the strength and size of Kyoki Omori with the big boot allowed her to pick up the win. The gainers next 2 points with a total of 6, while Mirai remains at 5. However, in the post-match, she requested a match against Mirai and Mai Sakurai for the tag belts. So basically, we could have that, but I'm presuming that this match will probably happen after the tournament. So we will see when that day comes. So we will stick to it like glue. Now I think that's pretty much it right now with day 5. So let's move on with day 6. Okay, our last review, day 6 of the Dream Star Grand Prix by MARIGOLD. This took place on the 21st, this past Sunday. Once again, we have that 2-on-3 scenario. Miley Grace once again teams up with Bozilla, and they're facing the same opponents from day 5, Komomo Minami, Nao Shikawa, and Chika Goto. Now, they decided to use a different tactic for this one. Now, remember, the common thread is Bozilla. So Bozilla was the common thread in the entirety of this match. So what did they do different? They decided to try to separate Miley Grace from Bozilla. So one person has to deal with Bozilla, with Miley Grace, while the other two try to deal with Bozilla from getting involved in the match in some capacity. Well, the person who took pleasure in dismantling Miley Grace was Chika Goto when she applied a sidewalk slam onto her, I believe that's what it's called, and winning the match. And of course, Bozilla not happy with the idea how this turns out because, of course, they use a tactic that was smart. But I don't think Bozilla likes the idea that they were using that sort of tactic. But it is what it is. Now, our next match, not part of the non-tournament match, we have Mitsa Matsui teaming up with the current Superfly champion, Natsumi Shizuki, taking on, of course, Miku Anu and Utami Ayashida. So, of course, we're going to see the two stronger wrestlers in the same place. You don't know how this was going to be, but, however, Utami Ayashida was able to pick up the win when she applied a German suplex onto Mitsa Matsui, ending it in that fashion. Now, let's jump in with, of course, the tournament matches. We have 4. 2 from Star League and 2 from Dream League. With the Star League, we have Chiaki versus Mai Sakurai. Now, of course, Mai Sakurai, as always, there are those who give her high hopes that she could win this tournament. But however, Chiaki, as you all know, as I always repeat, she's a dirty player, using tactics and ways to ensure she wins the match. Not to mention, she used a pile of chairs in order to soften up Mai Sakurai when she scoop slammed her on top of them in hopes that's going to win. But Mai Sakurai refuses to surrender, no matter what Chiaki tried to put her through. But she was able to apply a STF on her and force her to tap out, and that's exactly what she did, gaining her next 2 points with a total of 8, while Chiaki remains at 2. Now, in the Dream League, we have Nagisa Nozaki versus Kyoki Omori. Now, as always, we know that Nagisa Nozaki does dirty tactics in some capacity, but Kyoki Omori is another wrestler we are keeping an eye closely as well. We know she's good as a tag team, but she's so far, in my opinion, getting a little better in singles competition. But she was able to defeat, of course, Nozaki when she tried to apply the Claymore, but it was a big boot type by Kyoki to pick up the win, giving her her next 2 points with a total of 8, while Nozaki remains at 5. Now we jump back to the Star League. We have Kizuna Tanaka versus Suri. Now this is not the first time these two have met up. They met up recently in a tag team setting. Remember, Suri teamed up with Julia to take on Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki. And of course, if you guys remember recently, Julia told Kizuna Tanaka that she thanked, of course, she kind of thanked Kizuna Tanaka's parents if it wasn't for them for introducing to her, because she said that Kizuna Tanaka deserves to get beaten by Pope. So I'm sure Suri thought the same thing too, in some capacity. But of course, Suri is the top champion. She picked up the win with, of course, when she applied the Uronagi, and just like that, she picked up with 9 points, while Kizuna Tanaka remains at the bottom of the barrel with just 0 points. Now, our next match, we have the Dream League. We have Victoria Yuzuki taking on Mirai. Now, of course, Mirai, as you know, in the previous loss to Kiyomori, I'm sure she wants to bounce back. But don't forget, Victoria Yuzuki, we know she's talented. We know she has the tools to pick up the win. But, however, the obvious question is, does lightning strikes and the same thing again for Mirai? Well, you would think so. But, however, it was Mirai with a mare who was able to pick up a win by submission, giving her next 2 points with a total of 7. While Victoria Yuzuki remains at 3. So basically, that's how it ends for this one. So I think we are done with, of course, all of the days of the Dream Star Grand Prix. So we'll just leave it as that and move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events from the promotions. Now we do have updates from MLW with 3 different events. The first one is from Pit Fighter that will happen on the 26th of September. They announced Matt Riddle versus Tom Lawler. Then later on the October 4th, we have a 3-way match. We have Kenta versus Paul London versus Bobby Fish. And then later on in November on the 9th, we have the Lucha Apocaliptico, hopefully I pronounce it right. Titan will make his appearance as well. Now, a very interesting update. Now, those who know this, there is a promotion based out of Costa Rica, and many of you may or may not know this. I'm half Costa Rican. There's a promotion there, guys, so yes, well, 2 of them that I know of. This one's called the Costa Rican Wrestling Embassy, and they have currently allegiance to working relationship with 2 promotions, and one of them, and of course it's CMLL and of course New Japan. Now they didn't announce for November 2nd for the Cosidia event. Chase Owens from New Japan will be making his appearance, and then of course on December 7th for Traición we have Blue Panther Jr. from Blue Panther from CML making his appearance. So 2 major things happening. So basically their partners' talents are coming into Costa Rica. That'll be fun to watch as well. So if anybody asks me, yes, there are wrestling promotions there. So I have seen it. I watched many of their videos. So forgive me for that. Now, as you all know, this coming weekend we have RevPro for their upcoming event on the 29th. 3 matches have been announced. Robbie Eagles versus Robbie X. And then, of course, we have a 6-man tag match. We have Leo Rush, Cameron Kai, and Dante Martin. They face against Karrion Lacey, Will Caven, and Mark True. And then we have Barbaro El Cavernario versus Zozaya. Now, Deadlock Pro Wrestling has their upcoming event, the Super Battle, on the 13th of October. They announced for the Battle of the Best Finals, we have Shoko Nakajima versus Danny Luna. Now we have Singapore Pro Wrestling. As you know, they've been having wrestlers coming in from Tokyo Pro Wrestling to participate. Their next event for that is called the Crowning Glory on the 8th of November, and they just announced Tokyo Pro Wrestling's Pam Harajaku will be making her presence there. So good for her. Now Ganbare Pro has made a huge announcement. They will have a Corkin Hall event next year on April 11th of 2025, and this is their first show since going independence. Now they normally relied on, of course, Cyberfight, the company that owned them, and now that they're independent, they're about to make their own big event there. So that's pretty much exciting to hear. Now for some developments. Now many of you may not like about this, especially the WWE fan base. Mansoor, as you know, Mansoor was in fact on AEW Unrestricted. Talked to, of course, Aubrey Edwards, and I forgot who's the other guy. Will, I think. He talked about him and Mason thinking about going to AEW from the start because they like the creative control. So that is something that they were looking forward. But however, I don't know if some of my subscribers who are just plain old WWE fan base, you may have a hard time trying to believe this, but I do believe it because later on I did learn it's 100% true. He did confirm that there are people in NXT who are in fact watching AEW on their phones. Now, I know some WWE fan base are going to say, nope, that is bullshit. There is no way. Well, actually, there is a video that was posted on X. I saw it, folks. I'm not joking. So, you can complain about it, but if Mansoor was right, I have to say, wow. Yeah. Now, on to our developments. We want to give congratulations. As you all know, Elton Price, along with his girlfriend Kelly Kincaid, had their first child together. Well, Elton Price's tag team partner from Pretty Deadly, Kit Wilson, has just recently got married to Stevie Turner. So congratulations, guys, on your marriage. Lance Archer was recently on Fightful Select. He talked about that he would love to team up with Alex Zane, and hopefully them bringing their tag team Monster Sauce into AEW, and of course make appearances in New Japan. I would love to see it. I love Monster Sauce. They're an amazing tag team. I would love to see that. Now, many of you remember, we did see, of course, we've been seeing Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa making their appearances in WWE. There were reports about their younger big brother, Hikuleo. The reason I say younger big brother, well, he is the youngest, but he's big, 7 feet tall, guys. So he will be making his appearance in WWE. But however, I'm trying to find out for sure what's happening because according to what they're saying, he will be part of the NXT roster. Now, some of you may question, wait a minute, is he supposed to go with the main roster? I would say so, but I will look into this more. I feel like some things are a little strange, but we'll go from there. And then finally, Rikishi talked about Jacob Fatu. He's saying that they were pushing it way too fast, but he did say this happened on his podcast, and he says, when you go to Cody, where do you go from here? So I don't know what he meant by that, but I don't know if they are pushing Jacob Fatu fast, but we'll see how that rolls up. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Rikishi's right that they're pushing Jacob Fatu fast? So leave a comment down below and give me your opinion. I like to hear it. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates and all our reviews. Let's just call it a day. Okay, well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have NXT. However, I just recently learned we do have, of course, another MARIGOLD show, and this is day 7th. This one will tell us how far we are with the point systems in both the Dream and the Star League. So we'll see about that. There is another GLEAT event that just came out. I haven't reviewed any of the Choco Pro shows, so we'll see how that rolls. I'm a little behind on some of the Japanese wrestling events, but I'll try to do my best to catch up in some capacity. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is, and I will see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.